Hey drummers, it's Rob Litton here from drumstheword.com. Welcome to yet another free full song lesson. Today I'm going to show you how to play the song Until the End of the World by U2, drummed by Larry Mullen Jr. This song was suggested over on my Facebook page, and so if you want to make your own song suggestions, then please go over there to do so. You'll find a link to my page beneath this video, and you can also type song suggestions into the YouTube comments below. I can't promise anything, but I'm always interested to hear other people's song suggestions. I've got for you all 4 pages of the full song PDF drum chart for you to download from my website for free. You'll find a link to these 4 pages beneath this video. So have all 4 pages printed out in front of you as we go through this together. It's going to make it a lot easier for you to understand. So we start off with the intro with some crazy vocals, and then the drums come in at 17 seconds. And the first thing I want to say is that there's a lot of percussion going on, or there's a percussion part going on throughout the song, adding extra notes. And that confuses the sound slightly, the drum part slightly, because you think you might be hearing extra notes when there aren't actually. It's actually like a bongo or something being struck rather than a ghost note snare drum. I'm sure there are ghost notes, and we'll talk about that as we go through. For example, in the first drum beat, I'll show you what I'm hearing, and then I can sort of show you perhaps what you might want to play, perhaps what's there in the background sometimes. But anyway, we'll go into that in a bit. So our main drum beat for the song, we're playing 8th notes on the hi-hats. Without the open hi-hats at the end, we've got this drum beat. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and whoops, 1, 2. I've just adjusted the height of my snare drum, and I'm still getting used to it. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and 3, and 4, 1, 2, and 3, and 4. That's the sort of tempo of the song, 101 BPM. Now what Larry does on top of that is he opens the hi-hat on 4 slightly, and then fully open on the and 4. So you can see there I've got 2 open hi-hats on 4 and the and 4, but the accent on the and 4 is to show that that one's slightly more open or struck slightly harder. So we kind of get this effect. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 4, and... So slightly open, fully open. If you play them both fully open, it won't sound quite the same. We sort of get this duh, da da duh, duh, sh, da da duh, duh, sh, that sort of effect. That was a misopening. There we go. Now, as I mentioned a second ago, some extra little ideas. He doesn't play this every time. We can definitely hear it in the section where he moves to the right cymbal later in the song. But like I said, there's definitely some percussion being played, and so I think most of the time you're hearing this extra note on the E of beat 3, it's actually being played on percussion, but I'm sure Larry does actually throw in a few of these as well. 1, 2, and 3, E, and 4, and 1, 2, and 3, E, and 4, and I'm playing 3, E, and just the extra snare drum note on the E of beat 3. Most of the time you play it as a ghost note. 1, 2, and 3, E, and 4, and 1, 2, and 3, E, and 4, and 1, 2, and 3, E, and 4, and 1. So you've got options there if you want to sort of add in some of those extra notes on the E of beat 3. Like I said, later in the song, they do pop out, but most of the time I think it's just percussion overlaying that makes you think he's playing it more often than he is. So then we go on to the second and third drum beat. They're exactly the same as the first drum beat. And then we get our first drum fill in bar 4. He comes down to the snare drum to play 1 E and 2 and 1 E straight into the open hi-hat and 2 and then again 3 E ands, keeping the hi-hat open, 4 and a 1 where the hi-hat closes. You can close the hi-hat on beat 4 or beat 1 of the next line. It doesn't matter where you close it. I think Larry keeps it open for the full beat, and so it closes on beat 1 of the next line. 1 E and 2 and 3 E and 4 and a 1. So on it goes there onto the second line. 3 more bars of that drum beat, but notice line 2 starts with the crash cymbal on beat 1. And then for the 4th bar we get this. The hi-hat fully opens, well, sort of half open for beat 4. By the way, it was very difficult to decide when transcribing this when the hi-hat was slightly open and when it was closed. In certain sections, the quieter verses, it's definitely fully closed, but during the choruses and the guitar bridges and this intro, it's kind of in between. He sort of sometimes plays it a little bit open. He's sort of playing around with the pressure on the foot of the hi-hat. And so it was sort of, I wanted to make it black and white for you. Either he's got it open or he hasn't. And I sort of missed out the ones where I was like, is he kind of like opening it slightly there? So when we get this fourth bar here, you can see I've just written all of those eighth notes as open, even though it's kind of like a crescendo where he's sort of gradually opening it. 1, a 2, and then coming down to the snare drum where the hi-hat closes, we get 3E and a 4E and a. It sort of builds up in volume, starts quiet and goes to normal. So it builds up into verse 1, 3E and a 4E and a. So then verse 1, we're back to our drum beat. Onto the second line, 3 more bars of that drum beat, and then bar 4 there has another drum fill. 1, a 2, and 3, and that open hi-hat on the and a 3 there, and closes with the snare drum, 4E and a 1. 1, a 2, and 3, and 4E and a 1. So let me go on to the first chorus, chorus 1, and this is definitely an example where it's sort of washy-ish, but not fully closed, but we still get those very distinctive open hi-hats at the end of the bar, so they're sort of in between, so the notes before, sorry, are sort of in between open and closed, and so it's sort of like, yeah, it's difficult to say. You can sort of play this. On this electric hi-hat, it's actually quite hard to do that, as you heard. If I accidentally close it just a little bit too much, the hi-hat cuts out and you get a sudden closed hi-hat, rather than on an acoustic hi-hat where you get a lot more subtlety, a lot more granularity, where you can actually subtly play with the hi-hat a bit more. So you can play around with that. That's the last time I mention it. So the chorus is just our drum beat. We get that for 4 bars. The fourth bar though, notice this is a 6-bar line. 1, a 2, and 3, and 4, and a 1. And 4, and a 1. 1, a 2, and 3, and 4, and a 1. Bar 5 has the crash at the beginning, and then bar 6, 1, a 2, and 3, and 4, and a. Exactly the same as the bar above it with that drum fill. And then we're into guitar bridge 1, I've called it. So before we go on, let me now play for you the whole of the intro, verse 1 and chorus 1 up to speed without me yakking on over the top so you can hear just the drums. Here we go! So for the guitar bridge, we've just got 3 bars of the drum beat. The 4th bar is 1, a 2, and, so 2 and sort of fully open. 1, a 2, and then 3E and a 4E and a. Exactly the same idea as we had before, building up in volume over 2 beats. 3E and a, 4E and a. So on to verse 2 then, and we just get, for the first 2 lines, just the basic groove. The 4th bar though, we get another drum fill that Larry plays at the end of the page, which is 1, a 2, and, open hi-hat there, keep it open, 3E and then 4, I noticed that Larry closes it on beat 4 this time, 4 and a 1. 1, a 2, and 3E and 4 and a 1. You can keep it open for the whole of beat 4 if you wanted to. But I've written it closing on beat 4 there. Which gives it a little bit more power to it, I think. So you've got two options there for that sort of idea. So 3E and 4 and a 1. Onto page 2, chorus 2. Notice it's 6 bars long again. Let's go straight to the third bar where we get 1, a 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1. 4 and a 1. Crash on beat 1 of that bar there. And then fourth bar, it's kind of hard to hear in the mix, but I think he plays an extra bass drum on the and a 4. 1, a 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. 4 and 1. Notice there's no open hi-hat there on 4 and the and a 4. Bar 5 starts with that crash cymbal back to our normal drum beat. And then bar 6 is this one again. 1, a 2 and 3. Oh no, it doesn't build up in volume, it's just all the same. 1, a 2 and 3 and a 4 and a 1. Into guitar bridge 2, back to our basic beats. Bar 4 is this. 1, a 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1. 1, a 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1. We've gone over something very similar already. And then we go into the guitar solo where Larry moves up to the ride cymbal. And we got our basic drum beat but just played on the rides. 1, a 2 and 3 and 4. 1, a 2 and 3 and 4. Obviously without the hi-hat part. Bar 3 starts with a crash. And then bar 4, this is where I definitely did hear it. I heard that snare drum pop out on the E of beat 3. 1, a 2 and 3 and 4. 1, a 2 and 3 and 4. So that's what we talked about at the beginning, where you can sort of add that snare drum in as a ghost note or some improvisational sections at the end of each 4 bars, whatever you want to do. But yeah, that's when I definitely heard it on the recording, so I included it. A lot of fun to play that. Line 2, back to our basic drum beat. Bars 1 and 3 start with the crash. Bar 4 has the... Then the last line, 6 bars long. Crash on bars 1 and 3. And on bar 4 with the 3 and 4 parts. And then bar 5, back to the basic drum beat. And then bar 6 has this. 1, a 2 and. So he uses the open hi-hat there to start the drum fill. 1, a 2 and 3 and a 4 and a, all the same volume. Just coming down to the hi-hat there for that one open note on the and of beat 2. Then we go into guitar bridge 3, back to our basic drum beat on the hi-hat. Bar 4 is kind of interesting because I had some dynamics going on. So I heard this, 1, a 2 and then instead of just 3 and a 4 and a, it's sort of this, where he sort of accents 3E and 4E, and then the and the ers are a little bit quieter. So if you find that dynamic ability difficult, that technique, then you could just play them all as... No one's going to miss that if you're playing onto the song. No one's going to hear the difference there. But on the recording, I heard him play... So I thought I'd include that. It's quite interesting. Into what I called the vocal bridge. Before we do though, let me play for you from the second line of the guitar solo to the end of the guitar solo, and then guitar bridge 3, because we got quite a few new ideas occurring in just those 3 lines. Here we go. So for the vocal bridge, it's just 8 bars of our basic drum beat on the hi-hats. Let's go straight to page 3. Verse 3, exactly the same, except for the very last bar where we get this drum fill, slightly different to what we had previously. 1, a 2 and, open hi-hats there, then 3E and 4 and a 1. 1, a 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1. 1, a 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1. Chorus 3. 6 bars, go straight to bar 4 there where we get 1, a 2 and 50 and 4 and a 1. Exactly the same drum fills we just showed you. So that occurs there in bar 4 of that chorus. Then straight to the last line where again it's another example of it was very hard to hear. 1, a 2 and 3 and. I think he plays a high tom or floor tom. I've written it as a high tom. And 4 E and a. This is something being played there. I think it might be the tom. Again, it might be another example of that percussion part popping through and I mistook it. 1, 2 and 3 and 4 E and a 1. 1, 2 and 3 and 4 E and a. Probably play it on the floor tom. Sounds a bit better. I might be mistaken. I might not have heard that correctly. It might just be the bass drum on its own. But it's, it's such a subtle thing that you can choose to include it or not. It's not going to make a difference to the song. Then the guitar bridge 4. That line ends with 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and 4 and a simple little and a drum fill at the end there. And then we go into probably the section that most people want me to teach, the outro. And I've written here notes. Larry improvises with these accent notes with the snare drum, but this is the tom pattern he performs live. So I had a real tough choice here because the drums are being drowned out by the rest of the band in this section. What I can show you is the accent pattern he's playing. What I couldn't be 100% sure about in every single bar is where he's placing the notes. Sometimes it's a tom, sometimes it's the snare drum, but what I wrote that note for is that when he performs it live, he plays it, what I'm about to show you, every time. So he chooses to play between the toms and ghost notes on the snare drum, but on the recording, it definitely sounds like he's playing some snare drum notes, but he improvises with it. He sort of changes it every few bars, and so it was like more of an improvisational solo thing. But I thought it was important to show you what Larry plays live, because this is how he chooses to perform it to people. It's sort of a safer pattern. You're not improvising, because improvising can lead to mistakes. Larry is very sort of very good at coming up with parts and sticking with it. So I was quite surprised with this section with the improvisation going on. Anyway, I'm going to show you the basic rhythm. It's then up to you to sort of play around with it. So without all the ghost notes and the tom movements, we're basically playing this. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 and 1 a 2 and 3 E and a 4 and. I'm accenting every third note. 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 1 2, and it resolves with 4 E and a at the end. The final thing, well, the next thing that Larry does is move those accents to the toms. So the right hand moves to that tom, left hand moves to the highest tom, the tom in front of him. Now, what also Larry does, and you can hear this on the recording, these are where all the crash cymbals occur, is there's a crash cymbal every 2 bars, later on it's every 1 bar, so we get for the first bar, I'm just playing, instead of that, I'm playing bass drum and crash cymbal. 4 and 1. So he plays that for the first bar. The second bar though is just 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1. And by the way, before I move on, let me just show you what I meant by the snare drum thing on the recording. He sometimes he is playing something like this. You see what I mean? I'm playing exactly the same accent pattern, but I'm playing a lot more of the notes on the snare drum. But it kind of turns into a drum solo. And like I said, you can make mistakes when you improvise with that kind of stuff. So Larry, I suggest you do what Larry does live, and that's certainly what I would do, and use the toms instead. And if you want to play around with the snare drum to sort of add in some accents occasionally when it feels right, every 4 bars, every 2 bars, then feel free to. So the next line is exactly the same. 2 bars, starts with the crash cymbal. The third line, exactly the same, except bar 2 of line 3, has this build up in snare drum. Again, it's very hard to hear in the mix exactly where he starts to build up the snare drum, but I've written it, and I think this is what he's playing on the recording. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1. So after the E there where we played normally, 3, we come down to the snare drum, start quietly, 3 E and a 4 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1, or 1. So we get, for that bar there, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1. So look out for that. That bar also starts with a crash cymbal. Then the last line of that page, we just get 2 bars of the groove with the crash cymbal on beat of bar 1 only. And then onto the second page, last page, it continues. Now the first line starts with the crash. The second bar, I was hearing something different in there. And I think he plays this: 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. So instead of playing 3 E, we're playing 3 E and a. Accents there, E and a. By the way, the notes in brackets are ghost notes. They're the ones that you play quietly. The ones without brackets are the normal volume notes. 3 E and a, 4 E and a. It might be 4 E and a, but I think it's, it just makes sense to play it in front of you. So we get 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. Sort of playing in all the ghost notes still, but I'm accenting with the 3 E and a, 4 E and a. So we get 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a 1 for that one bar. Then line 2 starts with the same ideas we had in the previous page. 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a 1. Exactly the same build-up placement. That second bar starts with the crash. Then we get 3 more lines of the drum beat, each bar starting with the crash. Then the very last line starts with the crash, and then bar 2 goes in, starts with the floor tom. 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a 1. It builds up in volume, but it also slows down. The written above it, notes slow down slightly. So we get 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a 1. And it ends with a crash cymbal wash. And then finally what Larry does is he just goes to the floor tom, plays 2 notes, right, left, bass drum. But that's, you play that with your band, you wait for everyone to be aware of it, and then you play it. There was no sort of time where Larry sort of counted it, 1, 2, 3, da-dum. It sort of felt. Something like that. Well, it is like that, but it's just where you place it, it's up to you. So that last line, we get 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a, 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a 1. And it's hard to say exactly how much it slows down. You've got to listen to the song for that, but you'll notice it slows down and it ends on beat 1 if you keep counting all the 16th notes. So, before we finish, I'm going to play for you the last page, the whole of that page, because that has all the ideas from the previous page as well. So, 1, 2, 3, all 6 lines to the end of the song. Here we go. So I hope you enjoyed that. If you've got any questions, feel free to email me, rob@drumstheword.com. Don't forget to download all 4 pages of the PDF drum chart from my website for free. And then while you're out there, you might want to consider signing up to become an online member at my website. And what I currently offer for $97 is a full year's online access to every single full video song lesson I've ever recorded and transcribed. And that's coming up to almost 500 full song lessons where, just like this lesson, I teach you the song from start to finish. You get the fully transcribed PDF drum chart, and I've already got a load of other YouTube lessons up on the website already, plus the almost 500 other full song lessons, so tons of content. And so thank you for signing up. I'll give you access to even more, hundreds of little videos teaching you many famous drum beats, fills, and even drum solos. I'll give you 3 ebooks I've written over the years containing hundreds more famous beats, fills, and solos. And then over the year of your subscription, you also gain instant online access to all the new material that I upload for my members, and I record new lessons every week unless I'm ill or on holiday. So you've got lots of cool stuff to look forward to over the year of your subscription. But if you've got any questions about any of that, then feel free to email me, rob@drumstheword.com. And until the next drum lesson together, doodle pip and happy drumming to you.